Welcome. This is Barry Jones from Angelic Wisdom, and we're here for our weekly Ascension Angel Messages for May 4th through the 10th, 2025. So, as we start, I'd just like to thank everyone who is always returning to this weekly series and hanging in there with us. And I'd also like to welcome anyone who is new to our angelic wisdom community and to also invite you to subscribe and to select the all notification bell, like, and of course, leave your comments. Um, if during the course of this video you feel compelled to have an angel reading with me, you can go to my current website, theangelschool.com/services. Just be aware for now that Saturdays are my office hours after 2 p.m. on Saturdays, and there's a possibility for weekdays, possibly after 5 p.m., but that will be on a need to know basis. So just kind of be aware of that. Now, if you'd like to also support my channel with a donation, you can select my PayPal Me link. All these links you can find in the description area beneath this video. At this point, you should, the monthly Ascension Angel messages for May 2025 should be posted. So that's going to be the first link that you see in the description area beneath this video. It's a really important one, and one that we just need to hear. It was kind of really, wow, impressive to me, the information that was coming through. And for me, when I'm doing this, it's new to me most of the time, but this was really all new to me, and it's so important for us, I think, to just helping you to move forward and getting unstuck from the beliefs that we hold that just really hold us back, and the beliefs we have about the universe that I'm not going to say, because, I'm going to always say, or if I haven't said it, but, you take from what is presented to you, you take from it what you need, what you believe, what resonates with you, and the rest, I don't hold anybody, to feel like my word is law. But one of the things that I've always found is that we are always in different places, each one of us, in terms of our readiness. And so what we might be ready for today, or what we may not be ready for today, we might be ready for at another time. And I always feel too that truth just keeps expanding, like in a sense of what we could have accepted as truth years ago, we could never have accepted today. Or is that the reverse? But you get what I'm trying to say. What we're going to accept as truth, or be ready to accept as truth tomorrow even, will be something that is expanded, or something completely new, something that we've discovered. So I feel we should never lock ourselves down, but we're on a journey of discovery. And that discovery should always be unfolding. It should never become some monument. All right, so let's go ahead and take a deep breath and just really center ourselves in love and light. And I'm seeing the angel number 781 underneath a underneath a tree. And the tree just has such a feeling of security and peace. I don't know if you've ever found trees like this when you're out in nature, um, where they just, where the tree or the trees collectively is almost sort of like a glen or fairy glen, where all of a sudden you walk into this space of that are surrounded by these trees that just where you feel like your ear shifts, like the sound shifts and everything becomes quiet, and the energy just shifts into this high frequency of peace, and it's almost like a paradise moment. And this is what this vision I was seeing with this angel number looks like. And it says, as you stay positive minded, your career and finances will go very well. And it's the angel number 781. Okay? 781. You're on the right track with financially. Keep your thoughts clear and positive. And I almost feel like there's um, some need to really try to foster a positivity. And this is not at all asking you to kind of not embrace reality. Of course, that's a loaded statement, too, right? Because reality, as we understand it, is also what we're perceiving, and we're the ones creating the perception of what experience we're in, because someone else could be in that experience having a different reality, right? It's all about how we're seeing the world through our individual lenses. But it's about, okay, this is the reality that you've created, and staying positive or being positive minded, as it said, is really about embracing that I created this. What lesson is in this for me? What do I need to learn about the way I see things? Um, or maybe it's teaching me how to open up my eyes to see other points of view. And all of this leads into a positive mind, because just like what I was trying to say before, I started, truth is always evolving. We're on a journey, um, in terms of how we see ourselves and life itself. And that is really what's spinning the whole journey, right? Because we can all be walking on the same path but having different experiences. And so that positive that positive mindset is really one that is allowing itself to grow in how it views itself and the world, what we call reality, which is always an illusion. But can you open up to the wisdom of the lessons that you're learning and what you've chosen? And what I mean by what you've chosen, the reality, the mindset that you choose to view the world through. And can you allow yourself to grow, allow that to expand, allow that to heal? And that's the positive mindset, the journey of healing, a mindset that is always open to healing. It's not about being perfect. It's not about, um, oh, I failed because I was negative today, you know, or boy, I failed because I handled that really poorly. If you know that you handled that really poorly, you're in a positive mindset, because that is a mindset of healing, a mindset of evolving. And I'm going to take it a little bit step further because I just felt it. And so we might want to say that a negative mindset is someone who's given up hope, number one, and they no longer make any attempt to heal, to evolve. So now, wouldn't that leave out the majority of you now? Like, doesn't that just give you a sense of, oh, like, give myself a break, right? Well, I'm definitely not a negative mindset person, even though I struggle with negativity. But the fact that I'm struggling with it means that I'm trying to improve myself. So I am in a positive mindset because I attempt, make the effort that I'm able to, but I'm making an effort to shift, to heal the way I see the world and myself. Because it's not about how people see you. You notice that how I haven't said that yet, because it has nothing to do with that. How they see you is how you see yourself. And so that's where the work must always remain. So let me just read that again. As long as you stay positive minded, your career and finances will go very well. So if you're, very highly critical of yourself, and you're talking to yourself and saying, you're lazy, or you just don't ever get anything done, or you know, you're criticizing yourself, and you're doing it with this, you're trying, you're trying to improve yourself. You're just frustrated. You're just frustrated that you can't seem to break habits that you feel need to be broken. And maybe there's an awareness, right? That the criticism, it's awareness of what needs to be done. Well, you're in the positive mindset because you're attempting to heal, you're attempting to evolve. Why it's not going to happen is because you've got to stop picking at yourself. You've got to use the information, the awareness of that information. And what you need to do is in a more patient manner, because it does take, progress takes time, and it takes patience and love. And patience is love. And so you have to love yourself in a very patient way, and take one thing at a time, so that you can stop beating up on yourself. Because that, if if it's consistent and persistent, will drag you into the negative mindset, even though you're trying very much to grow in the positive mindset. So, some patience with love, because they're one and the same, and to write those things down that you become aware of, so you don't have to keep telling it to yourself, right? Then it won't become that, lead you in that negative direction. Write it down, those things that you need to, and then figure out which one you feel ready for in this moment. And remember that you're not trying to perfect it in this moment. You're not trying to get rid of, it's so interesting. Recently, I kept feeling this. sort of unrest in my heart chakra. And it's been there for huh, years, probably since started any kind of awareness work, right? Whether it's therapy or whatever, but it just is there. And when I'm trying to release as a form of healing and to, let's say, improve that, because you feel like, oh, well, that thing, what is that, and it's got to go, or it's impeding whatever it is that I think I'm not receiving. But this particular day, you know, something in out of love just said to me that that's something I actually have to embrace. It's a part of me. It's what is made. It makes me who I am, and it keeps me being who I am supposed to be. Like it has a purpose, but without really trying to be like, okay, wow, what is the purpose? It's just there. And once I finally realized that it's serving something. I don't know if I can find words to express it, but I hope that you can feel what I'm trying to say, because I'm sure you all have a thing that's very similar to that. And you have to realize that some things that we're trying to heal are a part of the very cornerstone of our journey, of our evolution, of who we are to ourselves and to others. And if it gets removed, then there won't be healing for many others, or they're right in front of me, blessings for many others. So we're going to have to accept that there is no perfect healing, because some things are there as a blessing to you and to others. And so when you go through that list of your criticisms, and they won't feel like that energy I felt, because that energy I felt has like doesn't have a name to it yet. I just know it by its presence and its energy. Um, those things, for example, if that list is made, could be more triggers for that thing. And when we and maybe some of those things that just may also relate to the part of you that needs to be in order for you to really be who you are meant to be in the world today doesn't mean that this might not be a thing in the future that I no longer need. But when I no longer need it, it will release itself. But in your list, focus on the thing that comes to you, that resonates with you as a part of yourself that's ready to move forward. And don't push against any of the others until their time is allotted for healing and growth. But if you stay with that thing that's ready now, it might take you so much further than you could have ever imagined that the others on the list no longer apply. We just have no idea. The saying of the old folks used to say, the Lord moves in mysterious ways. So we just have no idea about healing is a mystery, because we don't know every particular detail of how everything is connected, and we don't need to. And there's some minds who probably could do it for you, but it might not be necessary for you to know it or to be focused upon it. All right, let's take a look at the archangel that we're working with for this week. Oh, and our guardian angel comes up again. I can't remember which reading because I had to do two recently. The monthly or last week's reading, or did we have the guardian angel? But I'm not going to worry about that. But it's wonderful that our guardian angel is coming forward. And I've been really feeling for several weeks now a stronger connection with my guardian angel, as if it's really stepping forward and making itself known. It was like sort of like the time. And it gives me a sense that we're getting ready for something. Because we think of, we're so caught up in hierarchy of angels and anything in this world, right? In our 3D mind frame or mindset. But your guardian angel, um, and I explained this a little bit, you know, in a sense, your guardian angel's vibration is angelic, but closest to us, on this frequency is closer to ours or in its dimension, so that it could um, be a unique kind of angelic support for us. Because one, its love is centered around our care specifically, right? Um, it's still without ego, but it is has a devotion that's unique um, to each to us alone, right? Whereas the angels in general, this devotion is to humanity in the way that God's love is to all of us. And your guardian angel, I feel like coming up at this point and wanting to step forward is because we're in a period of unique change, meaning that we are going to be making some life changing decisions that might even change our um, the course of our lives. I'm saying the word expansion, that it feels as though um, because of these, and I feel like we're already making some nuanced changes that's already creating unexpected expansion. Um, it feels like when many years ago the angel of destiny came to me, and it was an important moment in my life where I was given the opportunity to go in a whole different direction and leave something, another kind of a life aside. I was given a choice. And it feels very similar to this, that this is something that we're all now being given this opportunity. And your guardian angel has your blueprint, the one that you came, that's for your life, um, for this lifetime, right? And it feels like that there are some major adjustments that we are all being allowed to make because of something that has happened collectively. So we've all done something collectively that has earned us this reward, this blessing. And this is something that our guardian angel can help us with, because it feels like the guardian angel has been specifically working to with you to help us to honor that blueprint that we chose, and whatever lessons are on that blueprint, And it feels as though that our guardian angel wants to help us, um, guide us on in this transition. I don't know, is it a transition? I forgot the word I used before, but this type of change, I forgot what I said, the kind of change I said. But it's now coming forth to help us because it knows still the, this is lack of a better word, the integrity of that blueprint, and wants to help us to really, we have an opportunity to expand upon the blueprint that we have chosen. And working with our guardian angel, um, can help us to go in the direction that, he's writing, yes, that, um, is in alignment with our soul. So it's not like we want to choose something that wasn't on the blueprint, but in our sort of three-dimensional mind, it might feel vastly different to us. And it's not to say that we've been off course. It's not really about that. But it's just that the course, the path is expanded. And there are higher choices within that are now available to us. And with your guardian angels, unconditional love and patience, we can heal. This is a time to heal certain aspects of our souls, our hearts, that would allow us to take advantage of those opportunities. And I was getting before we all get complicated, because we know anytime we think of something new, I gotta fix this. Nope. This is about love, simply love. And invoking your guardian angel, you can do that right now. And you've already heard me say this. When you invoke your guardian angel, you're invoking a sense of safety unlike you've ever known or felt before in this lifetime. And its wings are enormous. And it's telling me that you felt this love, this kind of safety in your dreams. You've had dreams where you felt just so safe and so at peace. And this is unconditional love. Because you are no longer struggling with reality. You're no longer struggling with the illusion of reality in that state. And you feel what you're actually feeling is the moment of conception in the mind and heart and soul of God when you were created. You're feeling a joy because deep down you know that you were loved and that you were always going to be safe. Just imagine holding a newborn baby, although you are holding a newborn baby, but you feel this very similar kind of peace and security, this unconditional love that I'm describing. And you can imagine it from the reverse way. So when you call upon your guardian angel, You ask Him to surround you in the protection of God's love. And what you're calling upon is that experience I just described. Invoking this love, this space of security and peace, will automatically allow a healing process to take place that will enable you to access the higher frequencies of opportunities on this expanded version of your path and life's blueprint. And they're writing, it is very high, the frequency, very high. And so as you give yourself a break about being positive and knowing that every time you invoke your guardian angel in this way, you are invoking the positive mindset. You are you are you are seeking to heal, to evolve. And with consistency of practice and patience, you will naturally see this occur. So let's not make it complicated, is the whole point. This is not something that you're going to get left out of. You don't have to be left behind. And if you have a mental health condition that kind of makes you extremely negative, and it's, I don't know what it could be called, but you're just aware, you ended up, because you're watching this or anything like it, this is far more powerful. The act of trying, right, is far more positive than than giving up and resigning yourself. Even if it was always going to feel like a struggle to you, you will receive the reward as well at a level that you're able to receive it. Nobody's being, you know, it's not like a grade book, and well, you didn't make the grade, so I'm sorry. You were trying, like just say you got a D. It's like you tried, but it's not what we consider passing. Well, it's not like that. So love yourself unconditionally. Try as best you can. That's all. And remember to ask your guardian angel for help with this by asking for this type of help. All right, let's take a look at the cards from the left. They were laid down from right to left again. And it just means for me, my hands feel guided. It's like if I try to move it the other way, something moves it the other way. So when it shifts, and it has sometimes from left to right, I'll let you know that. But for me, it means that we need to focus inwardly. And that's really where the healing evolves, not the reverse way. It's just because something good happens to you doesn't mean that it started out there. It started within you. You shifted and you just didn't know it. And that's okay. All right, so the first card, and this is the new deck, the Janasa Jaws Tarot, the fifth edition, which I think I forgot to write in the description area beneath. But this is the Queen of Swords. Okay. And, you see her crown. It kind of looks interesting. She's got this armor and she's got her sword, but, she just has it over her chest or breast, right? And is that a butterfly? It looks like a butterfly, kind of a necklace around her neck. So she is always has this, seems, of all the queens, one who is a bit guarded, right? Um, and this is something that we need to think about for a moment. Um, we want to be, well, and maybe she set an example of healthy boundaries, right? And I know I was talking about this recently in one of the videos about that mirror. Um, it's not about trying to keep other people at bay, but it's really about, do you have healthy boundaries for yourself in your own practice with yourself? Do you practice these healthy boundaries? In the way that, do you put too much on yourself? Is your thinking in balance with and appropriate for where you are right now? Are you pushing yourself a little bit too hard, or are you really honoring um, your truth in this moment and the work that you're doing, even if you don't see it or you're not intentionally doing it, but do you see, right? I just saw something, the word progressive. So if you are having these healthy boundaries with yourself and your own practice, then you're going to see that reflected. It's a mirror, right? You're going to see that reflected in a way that people, they see those boundaries and they respect them because they're sacred and they're healthy. They cause you to radiate or exude a certain kind of energy, and people will naturally honor those boundaries that you practice with yourself. But if you don't have boundaries with yourself, if you know, say over you tend to overthink things, right? And that kind of puts you into this space or place or these experiences where things can be dramatic, and or intense and very uncomfortable, and they don't feel safe. I mean, if we don't learn to work with ourselves in healthy ways, then how can we feel safe? And how can our journey feel safe? So it's about finding that balance, a healthy balance. And I'm gonna say that the Queen of Swords, I feel like all the Court of Swords, they work not only towards truth, but balance as well and integrity. So I'm going to say that they always um, they're the healthiest of their actions for some reason in my mind right now, because they work towards truth. And truth encompasses balance and healthy boundaries, learn to establish those. They may seem a little distant, but it's because they have clear boundaries, and we don't judge them when we see them in their depictions ever. We just know, like, whoa, right? They we have to think a little bit before we talk to them, or we have to make sure that we're correct, or that we're dealing with facts, that we're not coming in and just exploding with emotions all over the place and being messy. We know that they're not going to give into that because they have healthy boundaries with themselves, and we sense it. And so it's a similar thing where the court cards are come about us modeling something that we need to model for ourselves. And so in this week, um, beginning a healthy practice, because of setting healthy boundaries for yourself, right? Especially around emotions, since the queen here is water and air, around, so that our thoughts are produce more clarity for us. And as we have clarity, we can walk more confidently, which is another thing that they seem to exude is confidence, right? Starting even with the page that we saw last week, with her, she's, had that sword and like she's, ready to pull it out, but she's not afraid of it, but she has a lot to learn about how to wield it. Okay, let's take a look at the card for the middle part of the week. And this is, let me see if I can see. The 10 of, I don't know why today, the 10 of Wands, Bastos. And this is an interesting. So this is kind of pointing to, okay, what we need to get boundaries around, which is especially in our, since they were talking about career and finances, um, we need to get balance around, um, you know, not taking on too much at once, right? So if it's in your career, are you working? Are you doing more than your fair share? And and does this eventually sort of um, wear you down, right? I mean, you might feel like you're running out of gas all the time. You don't have enough energy. And does it mean that you're getting involved into too many things? Especially because with the Queen of Wands, I'm sorry, the Queen of Swords here, um, too much mental energy is going into this stuff, this drama that's going on around you, and creating healthy boundaries um, will sort of rein all of that in. And, we have to trust that if we leave things to others, they will find a way to sort of chip in and do their part and to fix those things on their own. You know, um, my mother was sort of a Queen of Swords because she's a Libra. And one of the things I always felt about my mom is like she's very balanced, and she didn't get, you could come up with this, and she'd be like, she came with this stern sort of, it's not really the right word, but when I think about it, it was just as if, how do I, it's a feeling, but she just didn't get, she wasn't like getting in the drama. She had this way of just being this very balanced person so that when you could see yourself, she became like a mirror. So what we might call stern becomes like this person who's very balanced and has these healthy boundaries. They become this really beautiful mirror because they're not reacting to what we are, right? They're not they're a mirror where you get to see yourself instead of being the mirror where you keep reacting to yourself. That's perfect. Does that make sense? And so my mother was never this mirror as much as, because we got to think about it, we're all drama hungry sometimes. And sometimes, you want her to react to you, to what you're doing, like to validate it. But what instead she did was just the way she was. And I'm not saying she stood there still, but the kind of person she was, you had to kind of you had to look at yourself instead of being able to use her as a trigger to react with yourself and who you are and to keep perpetuating it. If this is, financially, then it's about not taking on too many financial projects, as my mother used to say. I asked her why, because she had also like perfect credit. And I was like, how do you do this? And she's like, well, I only take one project at a time. And I pay that project off and then I take on another one. I plan them out. I know ahead of time what is going to be coming next and what's really important and all this other stuff. I pay my bills first, but she didn't accumulate other bills because that would then overwhelm, right? And then it's a sense of that you don't have boundaries, healthy boundaries around spending, right? And therefore there's a lack of a budget and a practice of having one, because it keeps everything um, it makes everything clear to you, right? What you're working with and what you can and cannot do. And sometimes people don't like to think about what they can and cannot do. But when you know what you can and cannot do, then you can better plan for what you want to do. And that's how my mother was. She was always able to do with such a very small salary than everyone else around her. She did a lot more than they could because of her faith, number one. My mother's faith. Again, these are the kind of people who practice. They have a very healthy practices, healthy boundaries. And she just, my mother made so little. I mean, I think the most she made at one time point, her highest salary was 22,000, but she did so much than some people who had way more than my mom had, um, because she knew what her budget was, but she also was not limited in her dreams about what she wanted, and she knew how to make space for what she wanted and not giving away her budget to things not that were frivolous, for lack of a better word. Okay, well, that we were there for a while, and here again we have the Four of Swords coming back. So from last week, um, and here's a sense of patience, right? If we're patient, more patient, and including patience into as a part of like a foundation for healthy boundaries, then the more that we are patient, the more we are able to have more clarity, the more we can really establish um, healthy boundaries that makes it so that we're able to flourish in the ways that we truly desire and deserve. So just know that if you're feeling like you don't have the career that you want, or in the finances, because they kind of linked, right? Be patient with your evolution. Be patient with this higher rewards that are opening up to us at this time because of something that we've done collectively. We've allowed for an opportunity for all of us to pivot in a way that is going to be deeply rewarding, whether it's just a sense of safety and peace. And that safety and peace, if that's what you get first and all you can get, just know that what has to come are these other things, the things that we want. Because we're in a physical world, reality, we when we achieve these sort of spiritual goals, in as long as we're in this physical dimension, then we automatically have to attract the rewards that match them vibrationally. So be patient in the sense of, don't try to put the cart before the horse. Don't try to get the thing before you heal, if that makes sense. All right. So the card that was from the bottom of the deck is the death card. And it's not labeled here, as she kind of follows a little bit of different things, but I think the Marseille. But and so what I love about this card is just the way that one is just resting. Now, 4 and 13, 13 equals 1 plus 3 is 4. And so we see this whole thing of just through this through patience and allowing for this transition to unfold naturally. We don't have to do anything. We just have to let go, release. And that came up in the monthly card, that release card, which is a death card as well. As we release, the the blossoms just rise around us, rise out of our ashes, so to speak. This transformation that will happen, it's a natural course of action. And all we have to do is be at peace. We have to be patient. I think that the way to release in all of this is to be patient and focus on that one thing that you're ready, that's ready to transform as you go through that list. All right, so I send you lots of love and angel blessings, and have a beautiful week, and God bless.